What's going on, Jeromes? Happy Thursday out there, everyone, everywhere. Daily Jeromes live stream coming right at you 11 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday. Thank you very much for coming along, making us part of your day. Talking Vikings, talking draft. We got a lot of Q's. We got a couple A's. Let's get this thing going, finish out the week strong. First up, Eric Zierke. I think Zaven Collins should highly be considered by the Vikings because of the Anthony Barr comparison, but also the slightly better coverage potential. Jabril Cox is also intriguing that he could take over coverage responsibilities for Wilson and could grow into a better run defender than Wilson was. Also, you should take a look at Grant Stewart from Houston. He's a stud. Stewart is good. I am a big fan of Zaven Collins. I am. So if you take the size of Anthony Barr and just give a little bit more of the coverage skills of Eric Kendricks, it's sick, man. It is sick. Like there are games where Zaven single-handedly won it for Tulsa. Like he completely dominated that side of the ball. Jabril Cox, I was a big fan of him at NDSU. I was a little bit worried about him at LSU being able to step into that role, even though, yes, he was a stud. But LSU, just like all those other football factories, constantly bring in 3, 4, 5-star recruits and be able to just plop it on the table year one and be a starter and be a leader on that team. Really impressed by him. I do think that Zaven, 14 seems a little bit high for Zaven, but if the Vikings do trade down, I think that he would be a serious target depending on what happens with Anthony Barr. Or hell, even if they do still run it back with Anthony Barr, there's no guarantee that he's going to be here 2022. So getting Zaven in that spot, and you can use him in sub package while you wait out Anthony Barr. Sure. I think Jabril Cox is probably going to go second round, maybe top 50, maybe even higher than that, maybe top 40, somewhere in there. But yeah, Jabril Cox kind of reminds me. So when Jonah Jackson, who is a guard for Detroit Lions, he had a horrible rookie year, but the Lions didn't use him properly. But he was a grad transfer from Rutgers. And in 2019, he came into the Ohio State University, which is O-lineman U. Not so much for the Vikings, but he came in and took over that left guard spot next to Josh Myers, opposite of Wyatt Davis, no matter what, and was dynamite, was absolutely phenomenal in their primarily zone scheme running game, and was just really, really good. And to be able to do that at a big-time school, that takes cojones. I really respect guys who do that. Ira Coffin, is there a position in football that could be taken out? Kicker's the easy answer. People would say punter, except punting does have its role in terms of field position. Like if you have a really good punter, it can make a big difference. Where if you have a good punter, it can change your starting field position and your opponent's starting field position 5 yards, 7, maybe even more. If you could take out a position, you could probably take out long snapper. But yeah, then be a weird spot where. So you start, if you're going to punt, the punter starts with the ball in his hand. I don't know if I like that. Yeah, but kicking would be the easy one. Cody Sandstrom. What if the Vikings bring back Cordero Patterson as some kind of Swiss Army knife returner and a halfback third receiver? It would be intriguing. I don't know if he would be down for a Minnesota reunion. Because, so here's the dirty little secret where, so Cordero Patterson was a 2013 first-round pick. They declined his fifth-year option, and he played out his contract. And he left in free agency, signed with New England or the Raiders? Like, where did he end up for? Probably the Raiders. And all off season, he was putting out on social media, hey, Vikings, I'm ready to come back and stuff. Let's do this stuff. But he had zero interest in coming back when they declined his fifth-year option. That was a sign of disrespect. And he was playing it off with the fans, making the team look bad. Like they're the bad guys. Oh, like I want to resign, but yeah, they won't come out. And of course, the Vikings aren't going to leak out. No, he doesn't want to come back. That would seem pretty petty, but no. Madden Mobile Sansom, would you rather trade down out of the top 24, getting a second rounder and a third and a fifth, and take AVT, maybe Darisaw, or trade up? Well, if you're getting outside the 24, Darisaw probably won't be there. That's AVT territory, though, in all likelihood. Or trade up into the top 5, giving up current first rounder, 2 future seconds, and a bunch of later round picks. Draft Penny Sewell. I would go get Penny. I would. I understand, like, he doesn't have as much polish as some of these other tackles, but his ceiling is through the roof. It is. So, yeah, I would give up 2 future seconds and 14 to go get Penny Sewell. Would you prefer Trey Lance or Mac Jones? Trey Lance. Every single day. Where Mac Jones, all he does is win no matter what, but it's always hard to parse out what is Mac Jones, what is that amazing offensive line, what is those amazing weapons. It is tough. Where with Trey Lance, you're betting on the traits. He's got that size. He's like a slightly smaller Cam Newton, but he's got an amazingly strong arm, accuracy, takes care of the football, 0 interceptions. I think he only had 2 fumbles in 2019 as a redshirt freshman, and absolute dynamic threat and a true leader. Where I think Mac Jones is a safer pick. If you had to take one quarterback who's going to contribute right away as a rookie 2021, I would take Mac Jones. But give me 5-10 years down the line, give me Trey Lance. Tommy Johnson. So I want a wide receiver 3 with punt return experience. Last week, I asked a question about second, third tier free agents for that spot. I'm wondering how you feel about J.D. Spielman, 5th round or later. No, I'm not joking. As a Husker fan, saw him a lot. He was electric. J.D. Spielman went back to school. And I know it's a little confusing because so the NCAA basically said, yeah, whatever with eligibility. Like they're giving out 5th, 6th, 7th years of eligibility. So he's going back for another year. But I would have taken a flyer on Spielman later. But some later guys, Shi Smith, Marquez Stevenson, Jalen Darden's going to be in that mix. Daz Newsome from UNC. Eskridge is probably going to be a day 2 pick. I mean, there are a ton of Elijah Moore. Gosh, who else? Schwartz from Auburn. I mean, there's so K Johnson from South Dakota State. There's so many damn good, like smaller, fast receivers with return ability. It's just really disgusting in this draft. Zach Ballas. Wouldn't mind seeing a Save the Saints full offseason mock content. I would just cut everyone, then draft kickers. Pulford Skull, would you rather draft BPA, Smith, Pitts, Lance still on board, or draft O-line, D-line player that you want there minus Sewell? So you got your choice of the board. So you could go Darisaw, Slater, Pay, Rousseau, Aziz, Phillips, Barmore, etc., or BPA. I would take Trey Lance. I would take Trey Lance. You have enough. You're going to have 11 other picks after comp picks are doled out. If you have a chance to take Trey Lance, go get him. Griffin Creer. But absent that, Kyle Pitts would be unfair, man. I understand the Vikings are good to go at tight end, even if they do cut Kyle Rudolph. But Griffin Creer. How does drafting Darisaw at 14 and trading up into the second to snag Davion Nixon sound? I'm in. You son of a B, I'm in. Max Kallenberg, would love to see the pride of Chanhassen Frank Ragnow sign with us in a couple years. I was really high on Ragnow a couple years ago when he was coming out of Arkansas. He went a lot higher than people expected, but yeah, Frank Ragnow is a tough son of a B. He played last year with a crushed larynx. That's a football guy right there. Yeah, Ragnow is a stud. It's unfortunate that they let him get out of town, but his dream was to play in the SEC, and of course, stupid Brett Bielema on his stupid face. Tad Skoll. Let's say the Vikings stay relatively healthy, get a wild card spot, win one playoff game, and lose a close one in the division round. Do you think anyone gets fired? I think they'll have to think long and hard, because I think that if you don't raise their expectations, don't let good be the enemy of great. And I think that Zimmer is firmly on the hot seat, and if that happens, it's going to be a close one. It's going to be pretty tight. Pulford Skull, would you rather Kirk trade with Denver, get Zach Wilson, or take a combo of Trey Lance and Devonta Smith at 9 and 14? I would take Trey Lance and Devonta Smith. It's close, though. It's really close. Abza Abdi, can't wait for a live stream tomorrow. Keep up good work. Thank you. And here we are. Husker, any player in previous drafts you were super impressed or high on and turned out to be a complete bust? I really wanted the Vikings pick Brady Quinn. Ha! Got like a million of them. Forrest Lamp comes to mind. Let's see who else. Guys I was really in on and turned into busts. Well, you have to go back a couple of years because you have to give them at least some time to try and crater. Can't think of anyone where I was standing on the table for and then they just absolutely. Oh, I guess you could say maybe Trey Pipkins, except he's a third-round pick. I'm just thinking about like high-end day 1, day 2 guys. Nah, yeah. You always forget your misses. Luke Zacher, if Bryant McKinney had Brandon Bullsworth work ethic, would he have been the greatest offensive lineman of all time? Yes. Yeah. So Brandon Bullsworth, if you didn't know, he was a walk-on at Arkansas, offensive lineman, absolute stud. So the Bullsworth Trophy goes to the best walk-on player in college football that year, and Bullsworth, I believe, was a second-round pick by the Colts, and then he unfortunately died in a car accident. But yeah, Bullsworth was like, think of like Rudy and Kenny Willekes, Johnny Tryhard, everyone. That was Brandon Bullsworth. And yeah, if McKinney was blessed by all of the football gods, like having the perfect left tackle body where he could be a road grader. He had the feet of a Baryshnikov dancer, and he was just an absolutely insane alpha athlete. Like, he could have, if Brian McKinney wanted to, he probably could have been an NBA power forward. At 6'8", that size, been like a Robert Traylor type power forward. Rest in peace. A lot of RIPs today. But yeah, McKinney was one of the guys, and you see this a lot, where they're just born with great physical gifts, and they love what the game brings to them more than the actual game. And it's unfortunate because, yeah, Bryant McKinney would have been the greatest left tackle of all time if he cared more. Miles, this school in Bremer, Minnesota is near Emily, had the Eagles logo and colors. What is going on? No creativity anymore. Well, you do see the Eagles helmet in a lot of school, because remember, like, the Doveriota Eagles was a team that we played in high school, and like their colors were Gophers colors, maroon and gold, but they had the Eagles helmet. I can see that a lot. You see the Wolverines helmet a lot too. Jacob Ward, love the show. Skull from Idaho. Skull, potatoes. Realistically, with the current first 2 picks, round 1 and 3, the Vikings have as GM, what would you do at 14 and 78, and why? I would go Darrisaw at 14. People are really sleeping on Darrisaw. And even if you do bring back Riley Reef, just don't pass on Darrisaw. You can actually probably kick Darrisaw into guard. No, screw that. Reef, you're going to guard, and Darrisaw, you're at left tackle. And 78, Aleem McNeil, or who's going to be there for edge? Patrick Jones, the second. He might go higher than that, though. I saw that Charlie Casserly has Patrick Jones in the first round. Charlie Casserly, hey? I think it's the first time I've seen him in the first. But McNeil might go higher than that, too. Well, a lot of guys might go higher. But yeah, realistically, I would go Darrisaw and McNeil, because it checks the boxes on 2 positions of need, and also it crosses over that at that stage of the draft, they certainly could be BPA. And they're dudes, man. I mean, Darrisaw is... So, speaking of McKinney, where Darrisaw has that size, phenomenal in the run game, scheme agnostic, would do good in power, do good in zone, and just has fantastic feet. Can play either side on tackle. Of course, you're not going to be switching to right tackle with Brian O'Neill in-house. Plus, Aleem McNeil, stud. If he can get more consistent, great against the run, amazing first step as a penetrator. Not on the level of Muzuriki or Nixon per se, but who is. But I think that in terms of the best all-around 3-tech, he's up there. Certainly up there. Jacob Ward. Oh, read that one. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. Give a couple shout-outs. Pulford Skull. No. Joey Pesic. You've probably been asked 100 times, but would you rather have Pay or Russo? Pay. Every single time. Pulford Skull. If Kirk said he would restructure for $20 million total with bonuses this year, but he wants a 2-year extension with a guaranteed $40 million those 2 years, no, we'll figure something else out. Jacob Ward. With Jefferson coming off historical year, and by the way, I know the Vikings don't do this often, but I would start leaking to the press and start winning the battle in the court of public opinion, where Kirk had this to a degree in Washington, but I mean, Daniel Snyder was so unlikable that it was hard for them to turn Kirk Cousins against him. Like, Kirk Cousins came out and smelled like a rose. But if Kirk is sticking by his guns and is like, hey, I'm going to make $35 million in 2022, have a $45 million cap hit, the largest cap hit in football, and even though the cap is restricting, might even be down next year in 2022, I'm still standing by it, even though I signed that extension before we knew what the global pandemic was going to do to the cap. So I understand people are struggling. I understand that my deal is going to take up 25-26% of the cap. Don't care. I'm just sitting here. So, yeah, your favorite players, Daniil, we can't afford you long term. You're gone. Harrison, you're gone. Kendricks, you're probably going to have to take a pay cut or you're gone. Or Adam Thielen, you're gone. And I'm just going to sit here and fiddle while Rome burns. No, the Vikings can certainly spin fans against Kirk Cousins. I mean, half the fans don't like Kirk Cousins anyway. How hard would it be to turn the rest of them? Jacob Ward, with Jefferson coming off a historical year and young Kubiak taking over, do you think Zimmer will allow the passing game to be more prominent, or do you think he sticks with the run again? I know that Clint is going to be beholden to a degree. First-time calling plays. Zimmer's giving him a shot. But given his background with quarterbacks as well as a wide receiver coach, I think that they're going to pass it more. Now, it's not going to be 5 wide and just air it out. I think he would be stupid not to utilize Dalvin, but it won't be the predictable run, pass, run, pass. I think they will mix it up a lot better. The Dark Knight. Number 1, would you rather have Darrisaw or Slater? Darrisaw, but it's close. Mainly because Darrisaw is textbook what you want for a left tackle. Slater, I think Slater has the skills to be a left tackle better than guard. Like, he's never played it down inside in college football. Plus, he doesn't have that anchor, so he might actually be a guy who's positionless in the NFL, which kind of stinks because I think he's a great player. Number 2, would you rather have Pitts or Darrisaw? Darrisaw, but it's really close. 3, would you rather have Deontay Brown or Ben Cleveland? Cleveland. See you next week. Hey, what's up? Shout-outs. Daniel Tuma, Skull from Maryland. What up? Elliot Meechin, Skull from Sebastopol, California. Sebastopol? Paul. Oh. Sure. Travis, Skull from Flake. What up? Purple Rain, Wausau, Wisconsin. Mike Benham, Grand Rapids. What up? Thanks for coming along. You guys are the best. Next up. Detailer, if the Vikings had to move to another state, which would you choose? Bonus points if you have a city as well. Well, the Vikings moved. I would like for them to move to a warmer climate. California's, I mean, they could move to San Diego. That'd be really good. But, I don't know. Florida sort of tapped out. Probably not going to have a team in Alabama. Like Mobile would make sense, except I don't know if they'd be a big enough draw. It might be too college football-y. Texas always make... when Red McCombs is the owner, how many times do we throw, the Vikings moved to San Antonio, and there is a push to get a third team in Texas. So Dallas is the team of North Texas, and the Texans, have the Houston area, so Southeast, Gulf area. I guess San Antonio would be the team of Central Texas. I do think a West Texas team could thrive. Well, where would you put it, though? Would you put it in El Paso? I mean, you're not going to put it in Midland. Nah. But we've always talked about Albuquerque, just because I think it would be funny, and because we love Breaking Bad. And it is a decently sized metro area. Like, how big is ABQ? New Mexico? It's over 1 million, isn't it? 500,000? There you go. That's bigger than Green Bay. Next up, Alexander Bolton. What would you do if you were in charge of the Vikings last year in the offseason? What would you do if you were in charge of the Vikings? I would have paid Everson $1 more than the Cowboys and brought him back. I would have still signed Pierce. Well, I'm assuming like this isn't full revisionist history. Like we're just plopping ourselves back there, right? Still would have taken Jefferson. Face. Let's see what else here. I would have gone back to 2019 and not extended Rudy. Definitely wouldn't have done that. Reef pay cut, yes. I would have kept Josh Klein, started him at left guard. I would have kept Mac. I know that Mac didn't want to stay, but I would have figured out a way. I wouldn't have tendered. I wouldn't have put the franchise tag on Anthony Harris. I would have let him walk. Would have kept Sendejo for the minimum. Would have kept Weatherly. And I would have had Daniil sit out practice that one day. Elliot Meechin. If Desmond Ridder declared this year, where do you think he would go? I think that he would be in the running with Kyle Trask to be the sixth quarterback off the board. Probably higher second round material. Maybe sneaks into the first round, somewhere in there. But yeah, I would put Ridder behind Mac Jones. Oh, that'd be close, though. I really like Desmond Ridder. Nusrad G. I want me some Morig. Would you commit to a future position of need with a slight reach this year? Well, it might be a position of need if they let Harris walk. But yeah, Trevor Morig is a dude. I wouldn't take him at 14, but if the Vikings do trade down, I think that he could be a target. Ezekiel Lockhart, number 1, wild hockey heating up. Did you like the show called The League? Wait, is that like 2 separate questions or a statement at question? Because the show The League about fantasy football, that was a good show. Ruxin, Andre, the guy who lied about 9/11. Number 2, pick one. Player X runs. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, I'll take player H. If it was just the cocaine, I could be down with that, but it's tough to explain the child abuse stuff. But wait, are we talking about like a faster Tyreek Hill? Sports, what percent chance would you give the Vikings to trade back from 14 and grab a second? Grab a second specifically? It'd be tough to pull off if you want a late first round pick and a second, because there's only so many teams. But if they're able to pull off that parlay, say the Steelers want to come up, or the Jaguars, or the Dolphins. Yeah, well, the Dolphins have multiple seconds. Jaguars have 2 seconds because of the Vikings. Cool. And they have an extra first because of the Rams. But I would put that at, 10%. I actually think it's more likely that the Vikings do whatever in the first round, and then they package the 2/3 and the 4/4 and get up in the second. I think that's more likely. Alejandro Sanchez, Trey Smith or Ben Cleveland? Trey Smith. As long as, well, it's going to be tough with medical checks, but as long as the lungs are good to go, yeah, give me Trey Smith. Aleem McNeil or Davion Nixon? Aleem. Elijah Molden or Jevon Holland? Molden. And also, I think Molden can play safety. I don't think a lot of people think that. Shakur Brown or Paulson Adebo? I know that Adebo's got the length advantage on Brown, but I like the way that Shakur played this year. Had 5 interceptions. Plus, I like that he's just a press man guy. I do. Like, give me the press man guys. Give me Cameron Dantzler. Give me Gladney. And give me Shakur just pressed up across the board. And let's go hunt. 5, Shai Smith or Dynami Brown? Well, they're both speed one-trick ponies. But I would go Dynami because Shai does have concentration drop issues. And we've seen the super fast wide receiver from South Carolina that has concentration drop issues. And I know that's stupid logic, but also I think Dynami is just a better player. All these guys are day 2. Paz one team no one is talking about trading Kirk Cousins is the Browns. Stefanski is familiar with Cousins, and I'm not sure they're sold on Mayfield. Well, Baker played well enough down the stretch. I think that he secured his spot. I don't know if they'll extend him long term, but we'll see. But, the Browns do have the cap room. They certainly could do it if they feel like they're just on the cusp. They did win a wildcard game. TCM, Zaven Collins. I love the Urlacher comparisons. Thoughts? Like, not one for one. Like, who would Zaven Collins be more like? Actually, I think Jamie Collins would be a good comparison. People forget Jamie Collins was a dude, man. When he was coming out of Southern Miss, and he ended. So 2013, Jamie Collins was one of the draft picks that the Patriots got from the Vikings in the Cordero trade, because it was Jamie Collins the second, Logan Ryan the third, and then some. No, they traded the 7th rounder back to the Vikings, which is funny. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, Jamie Collins, Zaven Collins, yes. Sam Thomas. Would you rather have Darrisaw or Slater? Darrisaw. Also Pay or Rousseau? Pay. And lastly, Waddle or Smith? Oof. Smith, but Waddle is so much fun, man. Also, favorite late round safety in the draft. Late round safety, I like Tariq Thompson out of San Diego State, where he's not going to blow you away physically, and he is a little bit of a safety tweener, free safety, box safety. He's kind of like a souped up Josh Metellus. I just really like the way that he approaches the game. Plus, he pops off a film. It's just tough to explain. I just really like him. Apologies for the misspelled names. It happens. Miles, Trey Lance at 14 or Slater at 14? Lance. Also, lack of hype over Trey Lance reminds me of the lack of hype surrounding Mahomes in 2017 or Herbert in 2020. Makes me think he's an actual dude in the quarterback draft. Well, I actually think that the hype for him has sort of subsided because at the beginning of the football season, the question was, would Fields or Trey Lance be number 2? That was legit. And then I think the rise of Zach Wilson really blunted the Trey Lance hype. Plus, obviously NDSU didn't play until the spring. Dime Clips. Well, they played that one stupid game, but that's whatever. Dime Clips. Would you rather trade down with the Dolphins to get 18 and 36 and a future 2022 4th rounder? Will the Dolphins get 1490 and a 5th while we draft Barmore at 18? Thoughts? I don't know if the Dolphins would do that. Yeah, giving up the few. Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins would do that. But yes, I would be okay with it. Torrey Hansen. Would you rather have Devontae Smith or Kyle Pitts? Devontae, but it's really close. I think, man, if you were going to bet on one player from this draft to make the Hall of Fame, and if you got odds on it, like everyone's going to bet on Lawrence, so the odds on that aren't going to be very good. But you might get Kyle Pitts at what, plus 2,000? No, it wouldn't even be that long. But you get good odds on him. I think that he has a chance to revolutionize the position. I do. Robbie, thanks for content. Hey, thank you. Trey Billmeyer, prospect. You think everyone is sleeping on Darrisaw? Pretty clear. Where it's just so weird because there's such a premium placed on left tackle. And I know that everyone is creaming in their jeans over Slater, except I do question his length and anchor at that spot. Penny Sewell, yes, he's going to be all-world, but it's a lot of betting on the come. And I get that. I get that Darrisaw, 3-year starter for the Hokies on the blind side, but I mean, this year he really blew up. But what else are you looking for? He's got the length, he's got the size, great against the run, great feet, great be able to reset. What do you want? I just think people are overthinking it. Another prospect people are sleeping on. Probably Morig to a degree. I know that people are poo-pooing safety in the first round. I don't know why, but Morig is a phenomenal all-around safety. I do like Ardarius too, but yeah, I like both the TCU safeties. See, someone else who's getting slept on. Just trying to cycle through like position by position. Josh Palmer, but we talked about him. Maynard's getting hype. I do like David Moore from Grambling. It's hard to explain it. Like, he did hold his own. I went back and it was really hard to find some Grambling tape, but I mean, he just mauls. And he may suffer from, he was just so dominant at his level of competition that it may take a hot second for him to get acclimated when he's playing with dudes that are on his level. But yeah, David Moore, the guard from Grambling, I think people are sleeping on. Defensive line, Marvin Wilson. Yeah, where if Marvin Wilson probably would have been a first-round pick if he came out last year. He would have. But, I mean, the choppy 2020 and, the rise of Barmore, I think he's getting lost in the soup. Marvin Wilson's a really good player. Let's see who else. Edge rusher, Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham, mainly because he's just a really solid meat and potatoes edge rusher. And, people are more enamored by the shiny toys like Rousseau, Phillips, Aziz to a degree, sure. Let's see who else. KJ Britt is really good from Auburn. I like him. I think he's going to go a lot later than he should go. Cornerback, Ambry Thomas. Safety we talked about. That's about it. Next up. Miles, how good will our defense, offense, special teams be individually next year? Offense will be top 5. Defense will be top 10. Special teams will be top 15. Super Bowl. Oakview. Would you rather have Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, assuming the Vikings trade up, they fall 14? I would take Chase. As much as we've been waxing poetically about Kyle Pitts, how he could be a future Hall of Famer, I'm taking Jamar Chase. Travis G. Would you rather have any player in this draft or Deshaun Watson? I would take Trevor Lawrence. Yes. Youth. I get it. Bird in hand. Deshaun Watson versus 2 in the bush. Lawrence. I'll take Trevor Lawrence. Matt Myers, but that's it. Matt Myers, stick and pick at 14. Lance, Darisaw, Smith, or Pay. Trey Lance. Brady Anaker. Would you rather have Trey Lance or Kyle Pitts? Trey Lance. Would you rather have Twyman or Nixon? In terms of where they're going to be drafted, I would rather have Twyman. Since Twyman is going to be in that 3rd round range in all likelihood, I think Nixon ends up being a high 2nd round pick. Maybe he even sneaks into the back end of the 1st round. So in terms of absolute value, I'll take Twyman. Tony Levens, would you do an all 22 of guys in the draft bottom of the roster? Sure. Miles, I think the Minnesota Vikings need to sue, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. It happens. Joel, who would you draft at 14 if Devontae and Pay were there? Devontae. Robbie, who do you like from least to worst? Who do you like least? All right, so bottom to the top. So Chuba, Adebo, or Molden. Probably in that order. Yeah, I mean, because Chuba, I like running backs. Not that high. Adebo, I like him. Elijah Molden. To me, Molden should be a top 40 pick. Somewhere in there. What's the deal? Do a mock where you trade like half the team and see what happens. We're going to do one where we cut Kirk Cousins and we trade everyone. But yeah, we could look into that. Luke Zacher. Would you rather have Pay or Devontae Smith at 14? Devontae. Miles. How big of a role will the tight ends have next year? Since Kyle Rudolph is probably going to be gone, I mean, Irv and Gronklin are still very solid 1 and 2 receivers, as well as Irv's blocking is really ahead of schedule, and Tyler Gronklin has greatly improved his blocking over the years. So, yeah, it won't be, the Vikings are still just like meat and potatoes, Gary Kubiak. No, it's because of the talent that you have. And depending on what happens at wide receiver 3, could you really blame the Vikings for running a lot more 2 tight end sets than going 3 wide, 11 personnel? Because let's say they don't, it's probably unlikely, but say they don't improve wide receiver 3. I mean, who are you going to try out there? BC Johnson or Irv Smith and Gronklin? Irv and Gronklin. Matt Myers. Darisaw Slater specifically for tackle. Darisaw. Chris Danny Hansen. Do you watch the Vikings YouTube channel? No. Nah. I used to watch it for 96 questions or whenever Zimmer was mic'd up because it's really funny, but nah. Good Reach Co. Oh, so we don't watch it, especially their original content. It's not because I'm sure it isn't good, but it's like we talked about. I don't consume any local content because I never want either to consciously or subconsciously lift ideas. Like, we want all of our stuff to be original, organic, grass-fed stuff. So I never want to crib off of any other outlet. Good Richo. Do you think the Vikings should sign Linval Joseph? League minimum. Back up Michael Pierce. Let's go. Mick and Sons. Would you rather have Justin Fields or Trey Lance if they dropped 14? I would rather have Trey Lance. As weird as that sounds, man, I would rather have Trey Lance. If you could have any job on the Vikings, what would it be? Owner? Griffin Creer. Actual job? See, a job that you don't get fired. Assistant to the GM, where George Payton never got heat. Like, he got credit, but he never got heat. That's what happens when you're assistant. So I will take assistant to the regional GM. Griffin Creer. Do you think we could sign Cordero? Could? Sure. Should? Meh. Zion Jamil. Nixon or Onwuzurike? Give me Levi. Pitts or Waddle? Pitts. Slater or Darisaw? Darisaw. David Ruiz. Would you rather have Micah Parsons or Vera Tucker? Parsons. And it's not close. Chris Danny Hansen. Would you rather have Darisaw or Pay? Darisaw. Robbie. Which would you play if your life depended upon it? Putt or pop a shot? Right, so putt or pop a shot? Probably putt. Ryan O'Sullivan. Devontae or Jalen? Devontae, but it's close. Tagai or Shelvin? This one's tough because Tagai is just an absolute monster. I really do like him. I would say Shelvin. So Tagai is a solid nose tackle, but if you put him in a 3-4, he'll probably play a defensive end. It's one of those spots where Shelvin is going to be a nose tackle always, no matter what scheme, whether it's a 3-4 or a 4-3. And you're going to want Tagai to do things that Shelvin already does. Plus, I mean, neither of them are going to be a high-end pass rusher anytime soon, but Shelvin already knows the game, that his job is to sit in the middle of the field and absorb 2-3 offensive linemen and let his teammates be heroes. And I'm sure Tagai is unselfish like that too, but Shelvin already knows the game. And Shelvin, 360, 370 if he's an ounce. Give me Shelvin. Give me that guy. Bob to Bob. Should Pete Carroll be fired? It's getting close. Pete's starting to age up. Pete's 70. And that team is just, feels like they're treading water. Like they're always good, but they're not great anymore. Emmanuel S. How much money has Kirk made? Let's take a look. Spot rack Kirk Cousins. Career earnings enhance. Career earnings. So far, he has made 140. He's under contract. He's going to get 196.6. So if you throw in Pizza Ranch money, we'll say that's even to 100. After taxes, 100. Yeah, so Kirk Cousins sitting on 100 million because he hasn't spent a dime of that. Probably invested it pretty well too. Yeah, he's okay. Lastly, last one, right? Oh no. Chris Danny Hansen, favorite chips. Give me the Kettle like jalapeno cheddar chips. No matter what brand, they're always really good. Sam Olsen, Devan Nixon, or McNeil. The Real Deal with Aleem McNeil. Get that thing on. That's it. That's the Daily Jerome's live stream for Thursday. That's the last one for the week. Thanks very much for coming along. Thanks a lot for the questions. We'll be back Monday. Skol. Production value.